Hello everybody, good evening or good morning wherever you are watching here from, and welcome along to the fourth round of the RACEDATA AI ARL Prototype Championship here, Season 9, and of course where else other than one of the most famous circuits on this planet, Spa-Francorchamps in the Ardennes Forest of Belgium. My name is Ashley Denman, alongside me is Sam Fitzpatrick, and production this evening is Luis Aria, and welcoming you all along to this race that we've got lined up for you this evening. It's going to be a good one. Well, weather forecast is looking pretty good. Bit blustery out there, but overall nice and overcast and not too wet, which is nice.
Yes, we've got some rain in the far distance, like 5 hours away, but fortunately we're just a 60-minute race today. It will be totally fine for the drivers, and so it should be absolutely maximising these cars. And of course, actually, this is a bit of a goodbye in a way. We're only midway through the season, but this will be many of the drivers' last ever races with this generation of GTP cars. Tomorrow they will be changed. They will be 6, 7, 8 seconds a lap slower than they were before. So let's make the most of these absolutely rapid cars that we have today.
Yeah, the monsters that they currently are in their iteration. Well, either way, hello, goodbye, however you want to look at it, I think it's a brighter future ahead for them all. And why don't we have a quick look at the standings, where we are then at this sort of mid-season point, before we then go into, feels almost like a latter half of the sort of one of the F1 championships where they changed the tyres. But here are the championship standings as they are. The pro category here for the GTPs, you've still got Norbert Tomas at top with 144, and Tonino Segro, he's now jumped up to second, and Richard Jepp now sits in third on 102. Very nice indeed. Why don't we then jump on over to the amateurs for the GTPs, I should say, the prototypes there. Julian Retty sits at top with 94 points, and not too far behind his fellow countryman, Ludovic Juret on 93, and then Paul Crawford in third on 92. Even when you go down, 4th, 5th, 91.90. Very, very close championship indeed there for the amateur class. Next up, the LMP2s, and topping the pro category there, we've got Aston Wilby on 115 points. And this championship here has been incredibly close between the pros and the amateurs. Second, though, for the pros at the moment still is Matthew Crisp on 110, and then Palint Bala in third there with 88 points as well. And then the amateurs, like I say, such a close championship this LMP2 classes, so they all do get very much mixed in and amongst each other. But Fabio Grassetto leads the amateur class with Lucas Diaz in second and John Williams in third. Also very close there as well between the top four and further back also. It's shaping up to be a very, very good championship indeed here, Sam. You've got the overall team constructors here too. Manatee Racing right out in front on 238, but the virtual drivers, they're not too far behind on 210, and DCW Racing on 194. Fourth place also nipping at their heels.
Yeah, and we've also got the LMP2s as well, with Olkentech just about leading the way in that category, despite Halfler Darson missing the first round. Max Speed and Effect and Olkentech, the other Olkentech team that got two of them for this series because they got so many drivers, also in with a chance. But I mean, that amateur category in the GTPs is pretty wild. I mean, the top 5 to be separated by 5 points 4 rounds into the season is pretty mad. We've got some drop scores as well. Well, we've got 1 drop score for each of the drivers, so even if they have a bad round, they might still have a chance. So expect that to change around. I think particularly the LMP2 pros, with a couple of the drivers who maybe have had one good round, like Figueroa, for example, who's had dominated back at Monza but has struggled since then with a missed round and struggling in the rain last time out. I think that would change a lot. And of course, in the LMP2 qualifying, we've had Figueroa and co already out there. Figueroa taking pole position ahead of Halfler Darson, Graf and co. Now we've got the GTPs out on circuit for their qualifying session.
Yeah, and like I say, such a close championship this, LMP2 classes, so they all do get very much mixed in and amongst each other. But Yeah, they're getting their first runs in now, I believe. The times you can see on the screens are for the LMP2 class of the pro and amateurs. The pros are the red and the amateurs are blue for the LMP2 category. And then for the GTP category, the pros are in black and the amateurs are in green. But I say it each and every week to you, Sam, because I do like to hammer it home, is that they're amateurs in name, and all it really means is they're just a little bit down on the experience front. In terms of speed, all of them are absolutely flying. They are very, very rapid indeed. As we've got the first times coming in now, currently Richard Jepp topping the timing tower. He's a pro, and then immediately Bell right there in second, only 2/10 back, and he's an amateur.
Yeah, so really, harking back to the LMP2s, like it's really crazy to see that many pros at the front. I mean, if you actually look at the LMP2 overall standings, the top two are actually amateurs. There's two AMs who have scored more points than any of the other pros. So very unusual here at Spa that so many pros are at the front of the LMP2s. In the GTPs, it looks a bit more mixed up because, yeah, Jackson Bell's right there. Richard Jebb is at the front, but expect the likes of Sikro, Turoshki, and Co to improve Tomas as well because they go for a double warm-up lap. So I think that top of the GTP standings is going to change. I think we'll have a few drivers maybe even getting into the 54s.
Yeah, like you say, I mean, they've already set an impressive lap time. I'm just briefly looking over at my the timing screen. Norbert Tomas, he's done a 1:59.156. I mean, my personal experience, Sam, the fastest I've ever gone around here is only just dipping into the 1:58. So the fact that that's his warm-up lap is probably going to give a bit of a telling of what he can do then on his second flyer when he's got everything in the optimal window that he likes. But yeah, cars flying around and times coming in. That was a little bit of a wobble there for Paul Crawford up towards Les Combes. He just about caught it, but he's not going to catch it there. And that's into the gravel, luckily not into the wall.
Yeah, that initial slide, I guess, overheats the tyre. So when he then pulled the car to the right for Malmedy, it had not the grip that he needed as Tamas crossed the line to a 55.3. Turoshki cannot beat him for now. Remember, Tamas currently the championship leader. Was very impressive last time out. Turoshki had issues. He crashed out. Absolute chaos last time out at Portsmouth. But Nucera, great to see him back. He actually missed the previous round of the championship. Also had an awful Le Mans round as well. And he goes to the top of the standings. If he's going to have any chance at the title, frankly, his chance at the title may have already been dashed by his couple of poor performances. But if he is going to pull off an amazing comeback, he's basically got to win every race at the end of the season. And that is what he's put himself into a position to do. He's got provisional pole, but the drivers still have one more run to go.
Yeah, still got a little bit of time left on the board, but I mean, it is so tight there. I mean, 1 and 2, 500ths of a second separating them, and then you really don't have to go that far back to get third, fourth, even fifth, currently held by Hugo Preto, amateur driver, who's just been pipped by Julian Retti instead. Only 5/10 off, and that is... It feels like a massive age, really, in the world of racing, but in timing sense, it's not all of that. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. You saw Turoshki there getting a little bit squirrely, I think, out of no-name corner, so they're getting it slightly sideways. Here is, sorry, Ludovic. No, this is Ludovic Direct. Yeah, sorry. Currently P10, and I think he might be starting his final flyer now.
Yes, accelerating up Eau Rouge and Radion. Very easy flat in these cars, even when they do make the change. It will be fairly easy as well. And then, of course, you approach Les Combes, I think with the 3D curbs as well, so they can be fairly vicious, these curves, but the off-tracks are fairly lenient as well. And I really like the new Spa. I think the rescan has given it, not that it really needed a new life anyway, it was already the most popular circuit pretty much on the sim, but it just is so much more pleasurable to drive around now. And yeah, it is really cool to see the updated graphics, the updated curbs as well. I think the off-tracks make a bit more sense, a bit more gravel around the circuit as well, which is nice in comparison to the sort of tarmac that there was before. So yeah, really satisfying to see these cars race around here.
Yeah, it just brings it all together, doesn't it? It makes you feel like you're actually there doing it. Of course, these guys are no slouches. I'm sure if you stuck them in the real deal, they're not going to be miles off it giving them a few laps or anything. But yeah, it just brings all that immersion together, as we see still on board here with Direct now coming out of Stavolo and onto this back straight. And once again, that is an important corner because you are flat out now up until you get to the bus stop chicane through Blanchemont right now. That's going to be easy flat as well, also for the LMP2. So you're then focusing on this braking zone into the bus stop. Pick your apexes nicely and get on the power as early as you dare. Out of the final corner now, and then it's a drag strip to the line to see what Direct can do. Has he improved? I don't think he has. I think he's staying here in P10.
It's the pressure of the camera. I think he felt it slightly. It may be, I mean, you talk about, having to put a camera on a car, maybe those extra few grams sort of slowed him down a little bit. So a bit of a damp squib on that occasion. Laubscher out there in 8th position. Still Nucera at the top, but all the front runners are going on their last lap now. They did 2 warm-up laps, came back to the pits, and then they have done another out lap, and now they're on their final laps. Tamas, this will be it for him. It's not a great lap though. Nucera is improving. 2 purple first sectors for Nucera. Would be his first pole of the season, and he is looking very, very good. Tamas might get close to Nucera with this lap, but I don't think it's going to be improvement for the Hungarian driver who crosses the line now. His teammate Turoshki is just behind him as well. Tamas remains in P2. Turoshki might be able to promote himself up into P2, but stays in P3. And so Nucera improving still. This might be a 54, but he doesn't need to. No one's beating him right now.
No, absolutely. Did Tamas make it to the line to start another lap, I wonder? It seemed very touch and go as Segro moves up to 3rd, as we're going to finish the lap here with Nucera. Let's see if he does finish off the improvements that Sam was talking about up towards the start-finish line now. Is it going to be an improvement for him? Waiting. Yes, it is. Yes. Improves by a good 10th or so there. And definitely cements that provisional pole position, we should say, because there are still drivers out on circuit.
Yeah, well, Tamas is still pushing, but it's a bad Sector 1 for him. He lost nearly 2 tenths through Sector 1, and he lost a tenth through Sector 2, so I don't think he's going to get anywhere near Nucera. Crawford's still going on out there. He set a personal best Sector 3, but it wasn't an amazing first couple of sectors, so I'm not sure if this is going to get him up any places. He improved, but he remains in 18th place. Cedric Holbom, he's saying some personal best sectors. This might get him up a couple of places. He needs a 10.5 to get past Marone.
Well, let's see what he can do now as he finds his way up to the bus stop chicane. Very slow. Well, I think it is, barring La Source, I'd probably say slowest corner on the circuit. And then you are very much relying on the tyre's natural grip to get you over the line there. And was it an improvement for Holbom?
Did improve.
I think it was, wasn't it?
But
not by a lot, though, was it?
Yeah, he stayed in the same place. Tamas actually set a really good Sector 2. So this will be, it'll be in the ballpark. But I don't think, yeah, he improved, but it's still a 10th down. He, just lacks a little bit of pace through that, really that first sector. If it was a better first sector, he actually had a good shot at pole there.
Well, I must admit, yeah, I think it was the first sector was where he came undone, because everywhere else he was quicker than Nucera. Sector 3 I'm seeing as well, he was matching him. So yeah, Sector 1 let him down, but it's good to see that the time is there. We've seen him do a quicker Sector 1, so it could be a very intense battle. Well, actually, looking at it, between the top 4 there, Nucera, Tamas, Segro and Turovsky, 2 teams right at the sharp end of the grid, and they're going to be battling it out and no doubt trying to help each other's teammate. But qualifying done and dusted, Sam. I mean, I'm looking forward to this one. It's Spa. You kind of have to. I mean, there's no real other way of saying it. It's such a legendary circuit, and it does produce some very good racing.
It really does. And I think we've got some competitive drivers up there, like you said, the top 4 in the pros and the GTPs, which we've come accustomed to They were the top 4 last season as well in the overall standings. But I think the LMP2s as well, Figueroa might drive away from the rest, but behind that, it's looking very, very competitive. So on pole position, we've got Simone Nucera then, ahead of Norbert Tamas. Then it's Antonino Segro and Balash Turoski. Richard Jepp improving late on in that qualifying session, currently second place in the championship. He starts in 5th or 3rd place in the championship. So then it's Julian Vetti, who's top of the amateurs. Hugo Prieto, who's second out of the amateurs. Salipa in 8th. Then it's Laubscher, Jurette, Favre, Bell, Cabral, Marone, Holbom, Beidou, Wilkins, Crawford, Malchurek, and the debutant, Oliver Pettersson, who maybe did last week as well, actually. Wilkins as well, I think, did last week. But their first dry round, because last week was very, very different. Figueroa back on the pole for the LMP2s, and by a decent margin, 0.3 of a second ahead of Hafler Darson, who is looking for his first solid round of the season. It's been a tough start to the championship for him. Then it's Graf, Pala, Siegman, Ibram, Greg Volek is top of the amateurs. Pretty crazy we have to go that far down the order. Enric Andre starts in 7th place. Then it's Ooms, Williams, Crisp, Wilby, Diaz, Mercer, and Huygen. Unfortunately, there's no Fabio Grassetto today, so he's our actual overall LMP2 championship leader going into this round. But unfortunately, he was not able to make it today, Ashley.
It's a shame, but like you say, that drop round will probably, no doubt, come into effect for him here then. And so he shouldn't really lose all that much. But yeah, shame that he's not here, because he is very much a great contender and does like to put on a bit of a show for us as well. When we've watched him racing, it's always good fun. You mentioned there Figueroa, of course, he's very much done the business in qualifying. But we saw last week, of course, conditions are very different, circuit very different. But cold tyres here, I found out personally yesterday, very much a factor on lap 1. So you do have to look after them, particularly when you get to the top of the hill at the end of Kemmel into Les Combes. Can be a bit sketchy.
Yes, yeah, he's going to have to be wary of that. And of course, you are vulnerable to the draft as well from behind. Maybe not so much of a big deal in the LMP2s because the draft effect is notoriously low. But for the GTPs, that's going to be an element up the Kemmel straight. So yeah, I think Figueroa, once he gets into his routine, he's going to be very tricky to beat. He was so dominant back at Monza, wasn't able to attend Le Mans. Then, of course, like you said, it was so different last time out in the wet. He clearly wasn't comfortable in the wet conditions. But yeah, best of luck to any of the LMP2s to keep up with him because, yeah, he looks fairly ominous today.
Yeah, it certainly does. As the grid moving forward then up to the bus stop now, as the Porsche car will no doubt peel off in just a moment into the pits, at which point, when they are in the acceleration zone, the GTPs can get underway. I'm sure Sam knows exactly where it is. I unfortunately don't, so it's a bit of a guess for me. But we are about to go green here for Spa. It's going to be an hour. There's the flag flying. There's cars going a little bit all over the place towards the back, but it's fairly clean at the front as they now make their way down towards Les Sources of turn number 1. Is there a bit more contact there between second and third? Both of the cars in first now are driven by the same team, luckily, to Absolute Motorsport, having a brilliant start, and now the LMP2s are starting.
Yes, let's see if they can deal with the start a little bit better. Figueroa just holding it, having to hold back a little bit. There was Hafler Darson. He nearly got past the pole sitter. He's now up to the leader when he decides to launch in this range. And now they do launch. Good stuff on the Olcantech drivers further back as well. But Figueroa has got a good launch there, and he holds the lead. Pala trying to stay in that 3rd place, almost squeezing the car in the head. It looks like Pala's actually got past Simon Graf there, so nice start for him. There were a few incidents in the GTPs. A couple of the drivers went way too early before the leader went, and then there was a secondary incident back at La Source as well.
Yeah, real shame, but it does look like the majority of the grid are facing the right direction. That's a pretty big off there, though. I think that was Laubscher. Yeah, absolutely. I think he's potentially towed that as well. Too big of an incident to carry it back to pit lane, but through Pouon now for the first time and up to the chicane in the middle of the circuit. And Nucera now is still in the lead, held it all the way up to here so far. Got a nice 6/10 gap there back to Escrow, and of course he's got his teammate behind him, so now he's got a rear gunner to help him try and keep Manatee Racing at bay.
Yeah, that was a very aggressive move there from Seago into La Source as well. There was a bit of contact between him and Tamas. Tamas was very reluctant to give up that place, but there was absolutely no denying Antonino Seco. And 1-2 for any team is a really fantastic position to have, particularly around a slipstream circuit like this. And Nusa running a little bit deep into the bus stop, but with a 0.4 of a second lead after lap 1. Amazing start for Christian Malchek. I wonder if Malchek jumped the start though, because he's up 10 places from last on the grid, and he's now up into the top 9. He's basically past half the GTP, so either he jumped the start or he benefited from someone else jumping the start.
Well, either way, it's still a monster start. Well, you said 10 positions, didn't you, Sam? It's still an amazing start either way you look at it. I think we're going to get the replay here of that potential. You know, not quite. This is Nathaniel Wilkins.
Yeah, this is Wilkins. And yeah, even behind him at this point is Malchek. Here comes Wilkins. Oh, well, he kept it pretty clean, did Wilkins. And to be fair, Malchek, you can see in the bright green car there, he hadn't actually gained anything at that point. And then one of the drivers with a broken suspension spins across the circuit.
Oh, there he goes, down the inside.
Gained all the places. So yeah, he did just benefit from someone else messing up the start.
He snuck his way through there, didn't he? Quite cheekily, you could almost think. But fair play to him. He put his car where he needed to and got the position. So you could almost argue a little bit of luck, but sometimes you have to hope for that when you go racing, don't you? It's skill, it's consistency, but if your luck is going your way as well, then that is the icing on the cake sometimes. But I think this is Laubscher. Yeah, we're just watching the replay here of him. I think that's cold tyres though, isn't it there, Sam? Just losing the rear. Oh, someone else went as well.
Someone else, yeah. It was one of the Sim Race Sweden cars. It must have been Cedric Holbom, who I think did the exact same thing. I think we saw Holbom come into the pits. So yeah, here comes Holbom and making almost the exact same mistake. He didn't sort of overcorrect it though. He just completely spun it round on the exit. I think he'd had a good start as well, had Holbom. A really good start actually. Was up a bunch of places and then hit the wall. There was also an off for Mercer and Huygen in the LMP2. So we've got one driver who didn't start, Zoltan Bedo, and then we've got 4 drivers having to take significant repairs, it looks like. And this was the aftermath for Mercer.
Oof, no rear wing. It looks a bit more like a Peugeot there in that frame. That's a shame. It's going to be a long race for him now, isn't it, Nick Mercer? Oh, he's going to go round as well, Piron. Well, no rear downforce. There's no real surprises there. I think in all of these replays we've got going on here, Sam, I think Tamas has made a move on Segro. I think they're actually having a good on-track battle right now as we speak. Just sort of trying to see what else is unfolding here. But those two are going at it. We'll come back to it at some point very soon, I'm sure. Trying to keep you all in the loop at the very same time. Yes, Tamas has gotten through and Segro is now 3rd.
Oh, but Segro trying to come back underneath. And it looks like Segro has got underneath. Going to have to go the long way round through No Name. And yeah, he has got it back. So that's a battle that took about half a lap to resolve. And Segro is really helping out his teammate, Nuse. I don't think there's really any team gains that they're sort of racing for themselves, but that's sort of a byproduct of it, that Nucera is able to pull away. And by the way, that incident that we saw at the top of Radion, that was on lap 1 between Mercer and Huygen, and that's why both of them have had to go back to the pits. I'm sure they'll have words with one another in Discord after that.
It's been an action-packed 5 minutes, so it's been very difficult, and I appreciate Luis doing his absolute best because it's hard to know where to look sometimes, and I feel like we've also neglected the LMP2s a little bit here. But we are having a look here at Matthew Crisp, currently 8th in class, and as I look down the order for the actual overall position he is in, I'm trying to find his name. There's an absolute wash. It says 8th there. Oh, it's difficult to tell, but he is around about sort of 9th position overall for the LMP2, so going strong as well. But this man, well, you said it at the beginning here, Sam, he's absolutely running away with it. He's lost a little bit there, but he was about 2 seconds, and it's going to creep back up to that right now.
Yeah, 7/10 faster on that last lap was Figueroa. And you shouldn't have to do with too much GTP lapping. I think the LMP2s will only be lapped once in this race as the teammates go alongside. This is Turoshki actually getting past Tamas. Maybe that was choreographed between the teammates. Or maybe, yeah, I don't think they made contact at all, did Turoshki, or did Tamas and Segro. But yeah, Turoshki moving ahead.
it could, again, you know, you're saying a minute ago, it's not tactical. It could be, though, when you think about it. I mean, he might say, well, I've given it a go. It didn't pay off. Why don't you have a try? You know, in terms of the team affair, looking at it like that, I think there's no real loss in giving it a go in that manner. I could be wrong, and they could just be absolutely gunning for it because Tomas is not letting off and giving Chorosky a break here. He's right on his gearbox as they make their way through Puon. And it does allow then Nacera and Seagrow to just break away just ever so slightly, but they are still within touching distance, of course.
Yeah, and the gap actually between the top two coming down slightly is 1 second now. Because if they are going to go for the championship play, as you may well, this is only round 4, it's a long season, it's 10 rounds. But Nusera's missed a round and he didn't score any points in another round, so it's been a really bad season for Nucera, and maybe they will give Seagrow the win should it come to that. But again, round 4 out of 10, I don't think that will quite play. But yeah, Seagrow is second place in the championship as it stands. Here we go back to Graf, and yeah, sort of roughly how I thought the race would go in terms of Figueroa pulling away and then everyone else really close. Just by the qualifying times, it did look so close between these drivers. Good start for James Ibram. He's gained a couple of places. Pala had a good start. We saw Pala actually gain a place right at the start of the race at La Source, but he's actually lost that place and then lost another 2, I believe. So not a good start for one of the many race leaders that we had last time out at Portsmouth. As we go back to the GTP AMS, and this battle between Nathaniel Wilkins and Paul Crawford, and this is Wilkins trying to get past Crawford.
Well, that was always going to be tricky, trying to go side by side up El Rouge and into Radion, and luckily they figured it out just before they got to the corner. A lot of my references this evening, they may come from F1 experience, but again, I've just watched it so much here over the years, so it almost got the Alonso Webber moment there, but thankfully figured it all out, and Wilkins does take that position, currently now 3rd in his class for the minute. But yeah, I think overall, once again, you're sort of looking down at around about sort of 13th, 14th. I can't quite figure out. I will get it here. 13th, I did get it right. Bang on. But looking pretty strong then at the moment still. And he's got more cars very much in touching distance as we jump back to Ibram for the LMP2s.
This could be Alonso Webber potentially, because these are absolutely dead level. And Ibram doesn't look like he's going to give up, and they are going to go alongside. This didn't end well earlier on for a couple of the LMP2s, but these guys have absolutely nailed it. They'll have a GTP come alongside, so they've left enough spaces to a wide enough circuit, and Ibram will be able to pick up a little bit of a draft, and that might be enough just to give him that pace advantage. But Siegmund better on the brakes. They remain alongside, and Siegmund and contact between the pair. Siegmund was never quite clear, and Ibram kept his nose in there through Lecum. A bit of contact to Ibram, a little bit of contact, and even more time lost as well, as Enric Andre has got underneath Ballant Palace. So Andre, after a bit of an underwhelming qualifying, he's making up places, and he's gained 2 there in 2 corners.
It's a shame how that all ended in the end, because that was absolutely thrilling to watch. I can't quite believe they did not touch as they went up El Rouge Radion. I mean, they were literally, you know, inches away, and you can see how close the gap is here, even as they get to the end of the camel into Lecom. There's the tiny bit of contact. I think then the wheels just somewhat locked, as like you say there, yeah, Siegmund wasn't quite ahead to really cement the position, and it just meant that they had that small coming together. Ibram managed to stay ahead, and of course Siegmund lost a few positions because of it.
Yeah, and they're still all sort of in the same pack. There's now a little bit of a gap between Graf and Ibram. So Ibram, yeah, he was involved in that little bit of contact, a bit of damage as well for Ibram. And around a very high-speed circuit like this, you don't want any area damage if you can possibly avoid it. Might take his faster pair at the pit stop, or maybe he'll save it just in case something even worse happens later on. We're expecting the drivers in for the LMP2s around the 35-minute mark, maybe getting close to the 40-minute mark. For the GTPs, it'll be about the 45-minute mark, with some trying to stretch it a couple minutes longer than that. So we've got a while to go, and of course if you are a GTP, you could potentially pit in 4 laps time, but that's not necessarily the ideal strategy.
It's not ideal, but if you're stuck in a pack, it could potentially work. You know, maybe if you're someone like Richard Jepp here, potentially, he probably feels he's stuck behind Hugo Prato and Julian Retti. Of course, he's one of the pro drivers here, currently 5th in class, but he is behind 2 amateur drivers. So he may feel a bit boxed in here, so he could potentially go for that strategy to get some clean air. But I think, like you say, it's not the favourable one to go for, and it tends to be... it doesn't work out as well as you think it's gonna. So your normal best bet, stick with the pack and just pit normally and hope you do get a chance to get by.
Yeah, because if you pit early, you're going to have to run more fuel in the car for a longer period of time. And then also you're going to have to potentially lap the LMP2s in extra time. So yeah, it's not ideal. Matthew Chris, by the way, has just lost a couple of places. He lost out to, well, he lost out to Fabian Siegman. Also, Enric Andre got past James Ibram for 4th in the LMP2 Pros. So good news for Andre, good news for Siegman, bad news for Chris, who of course has been one of our front runners so far this season in the LMP2s. It's actually Aston Wilby, who's currently the championship leader in the LMP2 Pros. But I'm not sure if Wilby is even around here tonight. Oh, he is, but he's quite near the back. Yeah, he's really struggling as Wilby. I don't think he's even been involved in something, Wilby. He qualified very low down. So yeah, our top 2 in the LMP2 Pros are last and second to last at the moment. That's our top 2 in the championship. So the points are going to change a lot at the end of the day.
It will. I'll say last in category. Let's put it that way. I don't think they're overall last, but yeah, I know exactly what you are saying, and yeah, they do definitely seem to be struggling. This man isn't though this evening. John Williams, who was also way up there, I think 3rd we saw earlier on in his amateur class for the LMP2, currently running in 2nd position, and he is right behind then Matthew Crisp, who is one of those drivers that we are saying is struggling a little bit out there in reference to his class. And if Williams can get a little bit of a run, maybe a small bit of slipstream, you do get a tiny
ahead,
bit.
by the way, as well, between Pala and Ibram. Looks like Pala may have been able to get past. It's just going through Lecumbe. And yes, Pala wasn't able to get past it. Ibram stays ahead.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe a bit of fighting up front will then close the gap up and bring cars further back to you. So maybe more positions up for grabs. But Williams unable to get past Crisp, I don't think. No, he did not get past Crisp on that occasion, but he is still very much tucked up under the rear wing of his car as we're still riding on board here with James Ibram. And he's got Pala chasing him down right behind there. That looked a little wide, but seemed all okay. And what's going on here?
Saliba with a little bit of a setback. I think he's just had a bad sector or something. Or maybe it was Cabral actually, maybe with a bad sector. Because he's dropped into the clutches now of Saliba, who is a pro driver. Cabral is an amateur driver, because we've seen him in Sunday single seater today as well. Some of the drivers really getting very leery in these GTPs today. We've had a lot of slides, a few more than we've seen perhaps in other rounds of the championship. Albeit this is the 3rd very high speed circuit that we've been to, at least in the drive, because we started at Monza, then we went to Le Mans, and then we're going to Spa. So all those circuits not requiring a whole lot of rear wing. They will get a little bit more technical, will the circuits, as the season goes on, as Cabral just 2/10 of a second clear. It feels like Saliba is going to get past. It's just when he does.
Yeah, I was going to say, it looks like it's a matter of time. He's practically pushing him around this part of the circuit. Now into Stavolo. Let's see if he can get a better exit, maybe a run at getting the move done towards Blanchimont. This is going to be very interesting indeed, whether he can pull alongside him. Still just sitting under the rear wing though, as they're coming up to Blanchimont now. Pulls out the slipstream. Is he alongside? I think he is. Down inside of Blanchimont, and he's had to go a little bit wide. And Saliba is definitely alongside him now into the bus stop. Who's going to be bravest on the brakes? Can Crawford also get involved as he dives into the pits? I'm trying to remember which one that was. That was not Saliba. Was it? That was Cabral. Yes, that's it. Into the pits
so that is as early as you can come into the pits. I mean, we were talking about potentially pitting in a couple of laps time, a couple of laps ago. And this is, if you're going to get to the end of the race, this is as early as you can pit. So Cabral did not fancy fighting whatsoever. And yeah, like I said, I don't think that's the fastest strat, but it might give him some clear air. I guess he's got just about a big enough gap over the LMP2s to not have to lap the LMP2s again. So I guess it's good in that regard. Meanwhile, at the front of the GTPs, Nusa has opened up that gap. That last lap, he was 8/10 faster than Segro. I think it was a mistake from Segro. A little bit in the last sector, he dropped some time. And now he's left him a bit vulnerable against Trioski and Taras, who may well be saving fuel a little bit as well. So watch out for them later on. Certainly any one of these top 4 could win this race.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's something to think about, isn't it? It's obviously pretty hard and tricky working out the strategy. The one thing I would say, pitting in early, if you've been carrying some damage potentially, if you're able to just hold out until you get to the very minimum amount of time you can, you know, or the smallest amount of laps you can do to then pit and finish the race. He could have been waiting for something like that, but we'll have to wait and see. And then, yeah, in regarding to lapped traffic, I think I worked out it takes about 12 laps to catch the back of the LMP2s. So you might get a few stragglers here and there, but I would imagine within the next 2 laps, they'll start catching them.
Yeah, well, here comes the 419 just ahead of these guys, who makes a huge effort to get out of the way, even going onto the gravel. That was Nick Mercer, who of course had that huge impact at Eau Rouge and Radion earlier on in the race. Graf, by the way, has just got past Half Darson, the second place in the LMP2. Simon Graf, the Austrian driver, has gained a place. Don't know if we get a replay of that one, because that's a pretty significant move on Half Darson. They have pulled away slightly from the drivers behind. So there's not quite so many drivers packed back, but yeah, here was the run from Graf, and it looks like it's going to be a fairly textbook move into the Lake.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll just be a bit of slipstream, pull out last minute, later on the brakes, being a little bit braver, and then getting the move done into Lacombe. Let's watch it unfold though before our eyes. There you go, pulls alongside. We got ahead even before the braking zone.
Yeah,
that looked like he just gave it to him.
Yeah, a bit of lift and coast there from Half Darson. So maybe he feels like he's been dragging around Graf this whole race, and is now, I'll let you lead and save a bit of fuel myself.
Well, that could be a strategy that the two of them could work together to, you know, maybe put a little bit of pressure on Frigerio. But I mean, it's so early in this race. It's very difficult to say what these guys are doing in terms of strategy. But yeah, switching around, definitely a good call, because then you've been saving some fuel. Now I can save some fuel, and we work together moving forward. Fabian Siegmann, we saw him have a bit of a moment earlier on in this race, but he's now right up behind, I believe that is Pala, and looking pretty feisty as well. Very much closed in onto the gearbox of the car in front, and potentially could move beyond.
Yeah, he looks faster, doesn't he? And of course now they're going to have the LMP2s to... ooh, that was very close there for Siegmann. They're getting really close to the back of Ibrium. Got a few supporters of Effect Simulations involved. Great to see Paul Busby around, and Ben Cullen as well. Let us know anyone else who is watching along, who you're supporting. But this could get very tight, and of course they have got the GTPs coming up on them, and there goes Nucera just on our left, and I'm not sure if the overtake is going to be possible here because of the stream of GTPs coming their way. Pala's left himself a bit vulnerable here. He didn't go for the move, and Siegmann sees that opportunity, but he's not able to quite do anything with it there. But it's very much overtake or be overtaken right now for Balint Pala, as now the second place man of Antonino Seago moves past, and again trying to get underneath is Fabian Siegmann. Pala's going to have the inside for No Name corner. This could be disastrous for the Manatee Racing drivers. Just behind as Siegmann goes off the circuit. Was he forced out? I'm not entirely sure. There could be a protest post-race, and that has dropped him an extra place as well, because not only has he lost out to Ibrium, but he's also lost out to Kragvolik.
Yeah, this is getting dicey. The two Manatee Racing cars there as well, just trying to navigate the traffic as best they can. They've done an incredible job thus far, and have successfully navigated that gaggle of cars now, but they have definitely lost some time to Escrow and Nucera up front. The gap opening up to about 1.5 seconds between them and Escrow, as they are now finally passing the last of the LMP2s in that little gaggle. They'll have, I think, a brief moment before they then catch up to one or two more. but it won't be long, and then they would have cleared the entire field, so then they can really start knuckling down once again and focusing on chasing down Seagrove for second place. But as it stands at the moment,
Oh,
it's pretty
Palace had
status quo.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry,
go on, what
Pala
was
just
that?
came into the pits. I thought he was having an issue, but sorry for interrupting. He just came into the pits.
No worries at all. So I'm glad you've got your eye on these things. It's but at least someone does. So even then, it's turn one. The source, yeah, all looking nice and clean at the moment, and so far so good for lapped traffic. No big moments, but I mean, moments like that they can change in the blink of an eye. It's so easy to do, and again, drawing from my own experiences yesterday, doing the 6 hours around here, you never really know what's around the next corner sometimes.
No, yeah, 6 hours around this place is rough. I've done one, ooh, and that was a little bit
Like that.
greedy there, and that's going to leave Graf fairly vulnerable to half a dozen. That was a bit over aggressive there from Tam has to poke his nose on the inside of Malmedy. But yeah, I've done at least one Spa 24, but that was a long event. Spas are properly tough circuits to do a lot of laps around. I mean, you've got a bit of runoff area, but such high-speed corners, it's pretty easy to mess up at any point. And yeah, fortunately, it seems like we've basically got through this first pass-through fairly cleanly. We've still got a few more GTPs to have to make their way past the LMP2s, but most of them have got past already now. And well, it should be one or, yeah, probably one more pass through later on as well for them to complete.
It depends on sort of pit strategy and when they decide to go for it. They may then have to pass some of these LMP2s again. But yeah, I think they should get them twice, providing everything goes smoothly and no big incidences sort of happen. As jumping here with Figueroa leading still the LMP2s and by some sizable margin now, 6.5 seconds. Traffic probably only going to elongate that gap between him and Graf in second place. Halfler Darson still right behind Graf though, so that's still a battle to keep an eye on because it is very close indeed, as now Charovsky and Tomas both find their way past the LMP2 leader and can now go chasing down Seagrove. And actually, they've managed to maintain that gap very impressively. Very minimal distance between them, only half a second.
Yeah, it's really small for Charovsky. I think he did fall back a little bit further than that, but has made up some good time in the last couple of laps. And even, you said, only 2 seconds ahead. So if the Mantis drivers have saved a bit of fuel, then they might look very, very good in this race. So we're going to find out if they have done in about 20 minutes time. Ethan Marone came into the pits. He was doing well in the GTP AMS, and Cedric Holborn has also come in for the second time. I'm not entirely sure if that was, yeah, I feel like that's a bit risky there for Marone because I think he'd already passed a couple of the LMP2s already and might have to pass them again now because he's going to come out of the pits behind them, so a bit risky there. Oliver Petson won the jersey, joined mid-season, and by the way, of course, you can join this series mid-season by signing up at apexracingleague.com. There are entries open for this series. You can also sign up for the Apex Racing Academy Sebring 2.4 hours as well. So check out apexracingleague.com and check out the Discord as well. There's a link to that in the description below. Join that and you can see whenever a new series is announced.
Yeah, fantastic. Maybe you might want to tell them about the RACEDATA AI as well, Sam, because that is a fantastic bit of kit that they can all get their hands on as well and really help with their racecraft, hone in their skills and no doubtably get quicker as well.
Absolutely, yep, because it's a user-friendly telemetry tool, is RACEDATA AI, which, yeah, like you said, is helping sim racers improve their performance by giving simple insights into driving data, making it easier to spot mistakes and areas for improvements. So if you want to check out RACEDATA AI, which works on iRacing as well as a couple of other sims as well, do check out the link in the description below, or just Google RACEDATA AI and check out their website. Big thanks to them for giving all the drivers a free subscription as well to RACEDATA AI. And yeah, it's a really fantastic tool, which is pretty new onto the scene. So yeah, it's certainly worth giving it a go and seeing what they offer. As Anthony Nasigo having to pull some shapes on the Camel Straight in order to break the draft from his rivals. And also, Halfler Darson might be overtaken by Enric Andre and he has done. Enric Andre is very, very quick today. He hasn't quite got past on that occasion, but Andre really didn't look that good in qualifying. It's great to see him back. I mean, I remember him racing around this track back in the Apex Racing. Oh, he's underneath and there's contact, and Andre is ahead. Now, I'm not entirely sure if that was legal or not.
Flash of the lights. Yeah, Half-Larsen not happy with that one. I think he's entitled to flash the lights there a little bit too. It was a bit cheeky trying to get up and under like that for Andre. But I mean, to him, he's got the move and he's clearly got the speed as well. So he'll now go try and chase Graf. We'll get a replay of it here into Les Comps. And then as they come trundling, or not trundling, they'll be really racing it down the hill. This is going to be very late on the brakes here for Andre. Cheeky move. The gap, you could argue, is there, but it was always going to close. But yeah, just a little bit of a coming together. It's not the worst incident we've seen here this evening, though. So I think both drivers will get away with very minimal damage if they got any at all.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be a steward judging that one, because he did make the apex. It wasn't, let's say, he was overshooting the corner, but yeah, at what point is a move too late, I think is maybe a question that's going to have to be asked. Pettersson up into 8th place. What a poor performance this is from Pettersson. We've got a couple of supporters. Lewis Bull Clark supporting the Bautka drivers who joined mid-season. Yeah, so he's up in 8th place, but Christian Malczek, who started from the back, he's also gained a lot of places, is looking to get past. And Diogo Salipa, who I think had issues on lap 1 and has been recovering ever since, he's got a good run. Yeah, he's trying to pass, and well, that's worked well for Pettersson. He's just about got past the LMP2s. Had he stayed behind, that would have killed his run up the hill.
Yeah, you know, he's 8th place overall. He's 3rd place in class, so he's actually having a very impressive run for his first dry go at it. As I think that was Salipa, sorry, behind there, just making his way, making sure he got past the LMP2s before they got into Les Comps and this twisty section at the top of the hill. As they now come down the hill, this is going to be a move from Salipa though. Can he get it late on the brakes and stopped? He got it stopped in time, and luckily for him, Malczarek was able to give him the room. He's ran it wide, and that does mean that Salipa is able to finish the move off and get up a position there. But without Malczarek making that little deviation from his line, I think we could have seen more contact.
Yeah, there had to be a little bit of evasive. I think you'll get away with that one. And yeah, I'm surprised how many moves we've got into Bruxelles so far today. That's not necessarily a corner that you anticipate to see many moves, but it seems like the drivers are very willing to come from a car length back to attempt to move. A little bit of a risky move there from one of the GTPs as well. So yeah, now at the front of this train is still Oliver Pettersson, but yes, Salipa, then Malczarek, then Wilkins. Here comes Wilkins. He's got quite a run here, and he's going to have a good shot in the bus stop. Has a little bit of a couple of jabs through Blanchimont, which is barely a corner in these cars. Just laying off the brake a little bit there was Malczarek just to protect that place, and he's still ahead of Wilkins, moving on to their 16th lap of the race.
He had a look at it though. You saw him there pulling out of the
close
slipstream.
Between 2nd place.
Oh, it's so close indeed. They're side by side. Segro though just about managing to hold it into the braking zone, and then up through Les Comps, now down towards Bruges into the next right-hander, and still just about defending it there from Tarowski. And then Tomas, of course, closing in from the battling going on. I mean, Segro, he's doing a stellar job at defending here between, you know, from the Manatee Racing. I mean, they've won every round so far, the pair of them at least, you know, one or the other. So this could be the first round, potentially we see a new winner, but of course still got half the race left to go. But Segro, he's doing his best Minister of Defence, isn't he? It's fantastic to watch. He just knows where to stick that car.
Yeah, I thought he'd overshot the Les Comps chicane slightly, but that is one of the narrowest parts of the circuit, and even when he did, there was no way past. Salipa, by the way, has just got past Pettersson. I think we sort of knew that was going to come eventually, so Salipa having a good comeback. He's back to where he started actually now, is Diego Salipa in 8th position overall. But this battle still rages on, and they've still got a little bit more LMP2 traffic to deal with. This is actually Benjamin Figueroa, so this will be the last LMP2 that they have to overtake. Malczarek darting to the inside. Had to hesitate. But Mounttrek might have a really good run here because Pettersson's really got caught up behind. Mounttrek with a decent launch and, well, with a bit of draft, he'll fancy his chances into the bus stop. Actually, he's a bit too far away. It's actually Wilkins who's got a much better run. He's only a tenth and a half back. Mounttrek may have to go defensive.
Well, I think Mounttrek, sorry, I think he got caught out by Figueroa himself on the exit, but looks as though he's nailing it out of the bus stop chicane now because he's very much tucked underneath the rear wing of Pettersson and then down towards Le Source of turn one, pulls out the slipstream, had a little look at it, but didn't go for it. I think he knows that the best chance to get the move done is at the top of the Kemmel Straight into Les Combes, because then on the downhill it's very much a trickier task of overtaking once again. But looking at it, out of the source, he's nowhere to be seen. Pettersson's just darted off.
Yeah, if there's maybe like a different setup or something going on, or I guess they have battery deployment as well. I don't know a whole lot about that. But yeah, he just seemed to not go anywhere, did he? Coming out of the source. Oh, Pettersson's overshot that one, and the small gap that he'd built up is quickly diminished. And yeah, Mounttrek can't quite get underneath into Bruxelles again. Yeah, maybe this is. Do you think this is the part of the circuit where he's faster, maybe Mounttrek, but this is the place where you can't overtake?
This could also be the setup you just said. It could be a difference in setup because the middle part of the lap, you want a high downforce setup. You're going through these high speed corners. You really want as much weight being pushed onto the tyres to generate the grip from the downforce of the car. And then obviously you have the two long straights in sectors 1 and 2, or maybe sort of 1 and 4. Because you have the extra one here. I'm thinking more, again, F1 terms, but you know where I'm talking about. So, you know, maybe it's just a difference in setup. And, of course, down these straights, Pettersson just has a slightly less draggy car, a little bit more slippery, and is able to just generate a little bit more of a gap. We can find out now, in fact, because they are now heading down towards Blanchemont and into the bus stop. And you can see there, look, once again, the gap's opening up, and Mounttrek is actually getting closed in by Wilkins here behind. So I think Mounttrek, sorry, I think he's got a bit more downforce on the car, but it's not going to matter because they both come in.
Yes, this is a bit early to come in. The tank can certainly go further than this, so maybe they're going to take tyres and they're thinking let's even out the stints when it comes to the tyres. These guys showing no signs of coming into the pits. Nusa still leading the way ahead of Seago, 3 seconds. It's just been a couple of instances where Seago's had to go defensive, which is really why that gap is quite as large as it is. I think in terms of pure pace, I think any one of these top are pretty much as quick as one another. Fabian Siegman, by the way, was very close to getting past James Ibram on the previous lap. He wasn't quite able to make it, and he's actually dropped back a little bit now, but these two have been glued to one another for the entire race. And yeah, they still are. By the way, Pettersson stationing for 26 seconds. Wilkins 36 seconds. Well, that's a mistake from Wilkins because there's no reason to take 36 seconds worth of fuel. You don't need that much fuel. You only need about 15 seconds worth of fuel. So I wonder if there's been a bit of a mistake there from the Balket esports cars because, yeah, Pettersson clearly took tyres, but I don't think you really want to take tyres. I mean, taking tyres loses you 10, 12 seconds, which I don't think you're going to make up in 25 minutes around here.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think the tyres are necessary. I mean, if you're going to do a tyre, you might want to do just the one if you've maybe had a lock-up and you can feel you're losing a bit of grip potentially, but then you upset the balance. It's a fine act driving a high-performance machine like this, so it's very delicate almost in a way of, you know, you're driving them aggressively, but there is very much a finesse to it, and yeah, upsetting the balance, and it will upset everything else, and will result in a slower lap time. But here goes another chance then here for Chorowski. Seago going defensive early, taking that inside line, darts over at the last second he could to take the racing line and maximise his speed, but I bet he's feeling the pressure in that cockpit.
Yeah, he seemed really close to Seago coming out of La Source. I was thinking, oh, they're definitely going to be alongside, and then sort of halfway down the Kemmel Straight just seemed to max out. Or maybe not max out necessarily, but just, yeah, the attempt seemed to waned slightly. Don't know if maybe I don't think he's in the limiter. Again, I don't know these GTP cars extremely well, but I don't think that's an issue. They were going at, well, they've been to Monza so far this season. And of course, they've been to Le Mans as well. So I don't think the limiter would be an issue around this place. But again, maybe it's different setups being used by the drivers again, because Segro seems to have very strong performance on the chemistry, and the gap's now up to 3.9 seconds between our top two drivers.
It's 4.12 corners later, so it's increasing quite evidently there. Here we go, here's the chance.
Here we go.
I think this could be a battery difference here, because that looked quite aggressive there from Trotsky. Round the outside of Segro into Blanchemont. Tomas is going to try and follow his teammate through as best he can, up to the bus stop chicane. Can both Manatee cars get past Segro? Not quite. Segro's going to try and put up a good fight, though, against Trotsky. Out of the final corner. Oh, he spun the rear tyres up there, and there goes Tomas as well. Both drivers getting past Segro in a matter of a couple of corners.
Oh, Segro, has he lost his head? He's gone for a very ambitious move, and it's going to lose them the draft slightly off the car ahead of Turoshki as well, as these guys will now go alongside. Well, these are bigger cars, but they're super grippy, so it should be very possible to do this, and they just about do it. There was almost a little bit too much travel there for Turoshki through Radion, and now it's Turoshki with a little bit of a drop. Now, actually, of course, it's Turoshki giving his rival the draft. Here comes Tamas around the outside, and he has done that one. I wonder if Segro's tyres are maybe a little bit overheated because of those slides before. Still, Tamas has got to make sure he consolidates this one by getting past the LMP2 car. So great defense there from Segro, but it has come undone. We'll see if he can now keep up over the next few laps, and well, we'll see if Turoshki can launch an attack at the race leader.
Well, I was just thinking that as well. Is that gap going to start coming down? That's going to be a big question. This battle is not over yet, though. Tomas is through, but Segro's still very much on his tail. And like you say, I wonder, has he overcooked those tyres now? It's going to be a matter of time to tell what the outcome
he
is.
has.
Oh, there's a mistake. There's the mistake,
Yeah.
and that's going to give him the gap. Nice and easy for him then.
Pressure to just
off.
over-rotate the car a little bit going into Lafanya there, and the car snapped. So wonder if he'll be into the pits just to... Well, yeah, this will be a tough race now for Segro. I mean, I'm sure, yeah, Nuso, of course, well, thank you, but of course, Segro wanted to win this race and get at least a second place out of it, and that is not going to happen anymore. He's going to lose more points in the championship. Also, Retzi is only 4 seconds behind. Retzi's actually been matching these front guys over the past few laps, seemingly protecting his tyres well. Segro does not come into the pits. He's still going to drain the tank completely dry and just try to get back into a routine. We had a pit stop, by the way, for Michael Harfler-Darson. He came into the pits and has come out again. Also, James Ibram came into the pits, and I think Ibram's just made a mistake. Ibram's had... Oh, there's Ibram. I think we just drove past him on the coming out of the pits. So James Ibram, I'd be fascinated to see get a replay of what happened to him.
Yeah, I will also say, Sam, don't write the race off just yet. Segro could come back. We don't know how it's going to unfold. It's 20 minutes. But yeah, you're quite right. He's got the move done. So it'll be interesting to see how that happens. This is Aston Wilby then, coming out of pit lane. Oh, and there we go. Ibram's already round, facing the wrong way. Gets out the way nicely.
So I don't think that was coming out of the pit.
No.
Oh no, it was coming out of the pits.
Was.
I thought it was just coming out of the source. So he wasn't taking tyres there, it was Ibram, which is sort of what we expect most drivers to be doing. Came out here, and then we ride on boards. Wasn't exactly pushing it.
He's too eager. There he goes.
Just, that went round so easily, didn't it? But well, maybe he took rear tyres. I don't think he did. He seemed to be like on the floor. Maybe he did. I mean, 23.7 seconds is quite a long pit stop, but it seems like the LMP2s have to take a lot of fuel. That's seemingly the average pit stop. I was surprised. Oh no, I think I did get a message from someone saying about how the tyres and fuel are taken separately, I think, in these cars, actually. So, yeah, you don't really want to take the tyres. So I guess he was just on the original tyres and, yeah, just lost grip.
Maybe. I mean, if he did pit, if he did take the tyres, I'm surprised he took 2 rears because, like I said earlier about balance, It would upset the car quite a lot that you've got 2 brand new tyres on the rear and then nothing on the front to help with that extra grip you now suddenly get. Plus rears being cold, fronts being warm, you get a lot extra rotation at the front of the car because the tyres have got more grip in them because they're warmer. So that could have also been something. Who knows? We'll find out potentially after the race. I don't know. But either way, Segro now has jumped into the lead after the other 3 drivers have jumped into the pits.
Yeah, so was Segro... I mean, that's strange. Why was Segro the one who saved the most fuel? Unless this is like they had fuel to spare. But yeah, why would Segro have saved the fuel? He was the one who wasn't in the draft. So yeah, this is a big lap now for him. Unfortunately, he had a little bit of traffic earlier on in the lap, and he's got a little bit more. So maybe that's why they came into the pits, just to get out of that traffic. Nusa stationed for a little bit longer. That's what we expect because he didn't have a draft, so he would have to take a couple more litres. But now with a 3-second lead over Turovsky and Tamas. And yeah, once Segro comes in, you'd imagine he'll be another second or 2 back. But he's got to make sure he gets past these LMP2s. He might catch them at an awkward spot.
So it depends where he catches them and how quickly he can navigate the traffic. The only thing I would say is, you know, he was obviously... It may have been a case if he was holding up Manatee Racing here just to give his teammate a bit of a gap, and in doing so just fuel saved at the same time. Maybe that is something that was a factor and has come into play. But, I mean, we're at 42 minutes. We're expecting the LMP2s in if they haven't already been in. But the GTPs, maybe another couple of minutes, maybe another lap or so. So it feels slightly early in a way.
I just had a check, by the way, in the Discord. I got told off a few weeks ago for saying that the Porsche Cup cars take fuel and tyres simultaneously, which they do not. But these cars do take tyres and fuel simultaneously. So Segro continuing on. So they did definitely have enough fuel, but they really didn't fancy going through that traffic. So Segro continues on. One day a driver, well, actually, no, to be fair, I was going to say one day a driver's going to do the whole race without taking pit stop. It happened last week, didn't it, in the wet?
It did.
Patrick Thompson was saying to us, no, you have more drag, and so you use more fuel. And we were like, no, Patrick. you don't use as much fuel. I mean, look at these drivers. They're barely able to touch the throttle, and they did go the whole race without taking a pit stop.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, he is right. More drag, more fuel. But, you know, on wet conditions, you're not putting your foot hard to the floor because it's so slippery. So it swings and roundabouts, you know. Either way, we've moved on from last week where it was wet and wonderful. And we're now here at Spa in the Ardennes. And Lucas Diaz, we haven't seen much of him here this evening. Currently 4th in class, right behind Ooms, battling it out for 3rd position in class as well, very much in the slipstream, practically pushing Ooms up the Camel. He's going to pull out the slipstream now and try and make a move into the Les Combes chicane. Can he get braver on the brakes? I think he can, and has now cemented the position there.
Oh, getting unlucky there was Tamas as well, getting stuck behind these drivers, just about gets himself underneath. They've got Ibram just behind. Can Diaz get to the end of the race? He pit on lap 9 of the race, which was early. Yeah, I don't think Diaz can get to the end of the race. I think he's going to have to pit again, but I could be wrong. But yeah, I think the LMP2 is going to have to pit again, unfortunately, so that will send him further down the order. By the way, Ibram might just get past Ooms. So Ooms, who just got overtaken by Diaz, and Ibram has now got past Ooms as well. They're alongside. But Ibram, Ibram moves past. The pro gets him past the app.
Yep, there he goes. I mean, with Diaz, you said they pitted 9 laps in. You know, quick maths here, 9 times 2, because it's 2 minutes a lap roughly. It's actually a bit over. That's 18. With that little bit over, it's 8 seconds or so. Let's call it 10 to make it easy. You know, that's an extra minute at least, so that's 19. He's getting close to the 20-minute mark, in fact. I'd say if he's good at fuel saving, there's a potential he could do it, as Nathaniel Wilkins got it a little wrong into Les Combes. He's going to give that up. I didn't think he wanted to cause a big incident there, but it's a shame he just got a bit too deep in on the brakes into Les Combes, and yeah, he's going to lose out for it. But yeah, Diaz, I think he could get to the end, in fact.
Long pit stop for Segro here, 17.2 seconds. But like I said earlier on, he never really had a draft as Segro in that person, so it would make sense they'd have to take more fuel. But he's barely ahead of Julian Vetti now. Vetti's only 2 seconds behind Segro, now 7 seconds off the podium. maybe he took tyres, perhaps, but he didn't seem to be on the jack. So, yeah, bad news for Antonino Sigo. This is not the race that it was looking like it would be a few laps ago. And yeah, now they need 2 seconds clear. Julian Retzi, of course, leader of the amateurs in the GTPs. The GTP so close in the championship, 4 points separates in the top 5 in the championship. But if Retzi could win today, he would extend that quite a bit. Paul Crawford currently 2nd place out of the AMs. However, he's yet to make a pit stop. So it will be Hugo Prieto and Ethan Marone who will be on the podium if it ends like it is.
Yeah, this is Benoit Favre. He's right behind Richard Jepp here for the battle for 5th in the GTP Pro class. Got very, very close at the top of the Camel, but couldn't quite get alongside to make a move. And I think he's now going to have to be a little bit patient for when he gets another chance. This is Cabral, having a little look on Maltrek into Lecom as well, giving each other plenty of room to go racing with. And Cabral, I will get there, apologies, does make it past, but Maltrek had a little look down the inside into Bruges, but couldn't quite get alongside. So Cabral, there we go, does get it done and cemented.
Also might have a move between Jep and Favre with a battle that we were just watching before, and Favre has got past Jep. Yep, before they even get to Blanchemont. I don't think Jep will fight this one too much, honestly. It does look to the outside. And maybe he is going to fight this one a bit more. And he's on the inside here through the second part. Fortunately, there's no netco between these two drivers. But just behind them now is Hugo Prieto, who's gained a few tenths of them just through that backswing. And Prieto might go for a dive into turn 1, but thinks better of it.
Because he had a little look at it, pulled out the slipstream, but again, I don't think you want to really get too much into their battle themselves. You kind of want to pick up the pieces when it all goes wrong, or if one of them really does get it all sorts of wrong, you know, picking up the pieces in that regard and take them out one by one. That's the sort of, I guess, I'm trying to think of the word for it now, Sam, but it's sort of the slower way of doing things, but it's the safer way of doing things.
Yes, yeah. So Prieto couldn't really get too much of a draft on the Camel straight anyway, so wasn't able to make an attack into Lecum. And we'll see if Favre can start to pull away. He was the one making the move on Jep a moment ago. Saliba, by the way, has just set 2 purple sectors. He's currently in 10th place overall, about 8 seconds behind these drivers. So watch out for Diogo Saliba catching up to these guys. He was on that last lap 2.5 seconds faster than these guys. So if he keeps up that pace, he will most definitely catch by the end of the race. And we could have, yeah, another car involved in this. There is Saliba, who got involved in a lap 1 incident, but he has been charging along ever since, and he will make easy work of Ethan Marone very soon.
You mentioned fastest laps. I forgot to mention it, but you just reminded me. Chorosky actually set the fastest lap of the race a couple of laps ago, or maybe last lap indeed. And he has actually been slowly bringing down the gap between him and Nucera. It's currently around about the 3-second mark. It's sort of hovering up and down there at the moment, but I do think he is slowly closing in. There you go. You've got the little graphic there to help you visualize it. He is closing in on the leader of this race, so that there's still a chance that we could have a battle right at the end if it keeps up at this sort of rate. But with 10 minutes left on the clock, it is of course counting down. It's going to get harder and harder as the laps wear on, but there's a chance. There's a chance we could have a battle for the win here, Sam.
Yes, I'm unfortunately the glass half empty person, and I'm going to say he lost 4 tenths on that last lap, did Turoshki. So I'm skeptical. Too fair. It's now gone down to, he's gained 4 tenths on this lap. How about half a second on this lap? So no, yeah, we're on the Turoshki hype train. I think now he can make this one back. It would be his 2nd race win of the season, and a very needed one because he did not have a good race at Algarve. He was running in a comfortable 2nd place or 3rd place, and then binned it, and that was the end of his race, as many others did. And so yeah, he needs some good points if he's going to keep the pressure on his teammate Tamas for the title this season. The title, of course, that he missed out on last season. It was runner-up to Tamas was Turoski a few months ago.
Churosky, he
Which
had a
Jep has
monster
lost out
second
to
sector.
Preto, sorry.
Sorry, Churosky's had a monster second sector. He's
True.
then matched the third and waiting for the times to come in to see what sector 4 is going to be. But looking at it, he's definitely closing in. They've pretty much matched in the last sector as well as they cross the line. He was almost a second quicker on that last lap, Churosky. Battle on, Sam. I'm sorry, battle on.
Yeah, it's turned into a glass half full now, I can confirm, because, yeah, the gap's down to 1.7 seconds. It's on, people. Let us know in chat who you think's going to win this race. Does look like it's going to be a 2-horse race, unless they start battling, of course. And a lot of it's going to come down to the traffic. And maybe Nusa might pull a bit of a gap here, because that 325 car could be very annoying. That's actually the LMP2 leader, and Turoski is going to get held up here, and he's going to probably lose half a second stuck behind the Effect Motorsports car.
Yeah, he'll lose a little bit, but you know, if the previous couple of laps have shown us anything, he'll gain that right back within a few corners potentially even, but at least within a lap or two. That wouldn't have meant anything to him. Gap 1.5 seconds now between the front two as these guys for a bit further back still battling hard. This is Jep, Fraver and Salipa now, I believe. He's not there, he's getting there or thereabouts. That's Preto, in fact, at the front of this little train. Fraver right in the middle. And it definitely is getting intense here a bit further down in the GTP class. All nice and clean thus far. Let's hope it stays that way as they find their way through No Name Corner and down towards Puon for the 27th time.
And once again, a shout out to our sponsor for this series, RACEDATA AI. Big thanks to them for supporting the championship and supporting sim racing, and of course their user-friendly telemetry tool helps sim racers improve their performance by providing clear and simple insights into driving data. If you are interested in that at all, go over to RACEDATA AI. Check out the link in the description below, and you can see their really useful UI. It's really intuitive. See exactly what you need to be doing in order to get better on iRacing. There's not really an app like it, as far as I'm aware, in terms of just how intuitive it is in order to find improvements in your racing. So big thanks to them for supporting the series. As these guys rattle past a few more LMP2s. They've got the 318 now ahead of Matthew Crisp, so they've got a few more to go, but I think about 4 more LMP2s to go, and then that will be it for the race. They won't have to lap anyone else at that point. And Preto may be a bit vulnerable. 0.4 of a second coming out of the source.
I think that was crucial for Fraver to get through on the LMP2 there as well, because he'll now pick up a nice slipstream through El Rouge, up over Radion and onto the Kemmel straight here. You're probably going to see him closing in little bit by little bit. The meters coming down. It's pretty much plateaued there though. No, it's not going to be enough at all. He's going to have to stay behind and into the braking zone for the Lecum chicane. And no real massive inroads for Fraver behind. Jep sitting there as well, looking pretty, lying in wait. But yeah, status quo for the minute, as Churosky's still closing in at the front.
I don't know if Luis is able to have a quick dig to see what happened to Michael Hafler-Darson earlier on, because Hafler-Darson was running in a strong P4 in this race, but he's fallen way down, which really sums up his season. It's been an absolute miserable time for the Alcantech NHR driver, the man who finished 3rd place, I think, in this championship, or 4th place, sorry, in the championship last season, but he's quite a bit further down now the order, and he may have just found it. And yeah, this cost him by putting him down from 4th to the position he is now. Unfortunately, I can't view this one.
Oh, that's all right. I've got it on board here. We've got one of the Manatee Racing cars behind, down into Stavolo. Oh, that is hard to judge actually, because you know the GTP was alongside, but it's and then the second Manatee Racing car tags him further and spins him right round. Oh, he got double teamed. Oh, you've got to feel
Yeah, I
sorry
want.
for him. He really did get double teamed. You had the first one. I think Turovsky he just caught him through Stavilo, a little bit of a bad timing. And then the second one, Tamas, as he came through out of Stavilo, just clipped him and then round he went. Oh, so sorry
Yeah,
for him.
I think the first one is a little bit questionable. I think the second one, I think Half the Dozen just let himself get onto the racing line a little bit, and yeah, was an issue. I'm getting insulted by Paul Busby by saying Effect Motorsports. Honestly, Paul, the moment I said it, I did think, oh no, it's Effect Simulations. My bad. So apologies for that, but I was aware. I didn't bog down the. If I corrected everything that I said wrong, we'd be here all day, and I don't think you guys would want to listen to that. So I'd rather say stuff with confidence, and 99% of viewers just don't question it. So apologies for that one, Paul. I acknowledge that was a mistake.
I don't think we'll be here that long. You're all right, Sam. Don't worry.
Thank you.
No, and like you say, confidence is the majority of this job. So, if you say it with 90% conviction, you won't get questioned on it. You're all good. Turovsky, I'm still looking at it because here is the gap. Nacero's still leading, but it has very much closed down. I think we're probably going to get about 2 laps of racing left now. It's going to be 57 minutes and a half as we cross the line. So 1 more lap, and then they should have roughly 40 seconds left, and that will then be the final one. So not long for Turovsky to get a move on, but only a second between them now.
And they've really dropped Tamas as well. I mean, this is promising signs for Turovsky for the championship, because this is the second time in 4 rounds that, yeah, Turovsky really does seem to have the pace on Tamas, because, yeah, Tamas is quite far back now. Also, Retti's really close up on Seago. Seago really struggling, but Retti, I don't really know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's not really Seago dropping back. It's or Retti going faster. It's sort of Retti. Yeah, I don't know where he was in the first few minutes, because he dropped so far back. Like, he was like 10 seconds behind within the first 15 minutes of the race, and then since then he's almost been matching the leaders. So he's right close now to Seago, who maybe did burn out his tyres a little bit earlier on. As we see once again, Nucera lost a 1/10 of a second on that last lap, so can keep up these low 57s. That should be enough. However, that last lap was his best lap of the race, so it's not as though he's got a whole lot more available in that car.
I think Retti he's very much got under the radar the whole race. It's a very impressive drive because, like you say, he dropped off initially, but then has been matching. It's yeah, he's been very much a standout driver so far in this race to date. So fair play to him, and he's not got long left to see that checkered flag and take the amateur win. But I won't jinx him, touch wood. I'm sure he will get there at the end, because he has done a very stellar performance, as we still look at this battle for the overall win between the GTP Pro drivers. Nacera still leading from Turovsky as they enter the bus stop chicane for the second to last time. There is the white flag, so 1 more racing lap. Can Turovsky close the gap enough to make a move on Nacero, or has Nacero done enough? We've got about 2 minutes to find out.
There's a move, by the way, for Aston Wilby. He's got past John Williams. Michael Hafler-Darson catching the pair of them as well. They've got a while to go left in this race, because not quite going to be triple laps. So, yeah, well done to Aston for pulling off that move. But this is the one that matters, and the gap is coming down just a little bit. They've got a little bit of traffic as well ahead. Turovsky with the fastest first sector of anyone, undoubtedly being helped by the draft from the car ahead. But the time is running out, and this is the part of the circuit where it might be quite tricky for him to stay close. And Turovsky, who took quite a while, as actually Seago and Retti are super close. Seago just holding on, though, into Lekum. But of course, Turovsky took a while earlier on to get past Seago. Oh, he's run a little bit wide, and that might cost him a couple of tenths. And yeah, it's a long shot from him.
Yeah, I think that might have. I think that might be the moment that's decided this race, because he's now going to have a bit of gravel on the tyres as well in the next corner or two, where he'll lose a bit more time. So there's 8 tenths between those two, but between these two, virtually nothing. Julian Retti is right up on the gearbox of Seago now as they find their way through Pouhon for the final time, lap 31, and the final one as well. and then into the chicane, middle part of the circuit. No real way through here. I think what Retty needs to do now, focus on his exit here out of Stavilo corner, try and get the run, and then absolutely send it into the bus stop chicane. That's going to be his best bet. As I would imagine, the drivers are now coming up to the finish line to take the checkered flag. Here we go, last corner, bus stop chicane. Nacero is going to come out on top, but Turovsky did get incredibly close to come home in second. I don't think there's going to be any question about it that Tomas is going to finish third. And here's the move then for Retty. He's going to have to do it the long way, and Seagrove with another amazing defensive move to hang on to fourth position. And Retty's just going to have to follow him across the line. That was so close and intense. Fair play to both of them, and, well, doubly fair play to Seagrove for defending it.
Yeah, Retty almost went for a very over-ambitious move at the last corner there, but he did the right thing. Figueroa is going to dominate in the LMP2s. That's going to be a second race win of the season for him and really get his championship charge back on track. I still say he's the favourite despite he's not going to be the championship leader. Graf in second place. In the end, a comfortable second place. Enric Andre from way down the grid will finish in third. Behind them, Harfler Darson was very close to Williams a few moments ago, but I think he made a bit of a mistake, maybe around the Stavilo section, and so I don't think he's maybe. Yeah, Harfler Darson's getting pretty close, but I think he's just going to finish behind. Craig Rollick, though, wins in the amateurs. Great job from him. I think that might be his first win of the season in the LMP2 AMS. And yeah, for the man who actually came into this round 7th out of 8 drivers, that's a big upturn in form for Silas, and it's really good to see him have that performance.
I think that was sort of a result that we've been expecting in a way. We saw how quick he was at Algarve last week. Of course, the weather and the conditions were so tricky, though, and he did have a moment where he then ended up binning the car into the barrier. But I think for Silas there, it's been a result he's been expecting almost, and finally has it under his belt as the final driver to cross the line, Melvin Huygen. And well done for sticking it out there, Melvin. And I think that is everyone done and dusted now.
Yes, I think that is it. I think Ludovic Jurette may have run out of fuel on the last lap as well, by the way. He was very slow on that last lap, lost 15 seconds. So he got overtaken by Oliver Pettersson, who was his fastest lap of the race on the last lap. So yeah, finished in 17th place, unfortunately for him. But there is the results. Nusa beating out Turovsky by 0.6 of a second. Tamas nearly 10 seconds behind. That was the pace of the top two, and Seagrace 16 seconds back in the end. Retty top of the amateurs, and Prieto second place out of the amateurs, albeit quite far back. And Marone was third place out of the amateurs. In the LMP2 pros, you can see at the bottom there, Figueroa beating out Graf. And Andre Graf actually had really good pace, and Andre had really good pace throughout the race, but he started way too far back. Graf had really good pace in the second half of the race. So it wasn't a dominant race victory for Figueroa, but it never looked in doubt. And then, of course, Craig Frolic, Williams, and Diaz, the top 3 in the amateurs, which will shuffle things around quite a bit. Grosseto not around today, who was the championship leader. He will lose his championship lead. I think Diaz will be championship leader now, ahead of Williams. But yeah, Craig Frolic and co bring themselves right back into contention.
Well, I mean, if it's anything like we've seen so far in the first 3 rounds, and of course that was another absolute stunner. I mean, the championship standings look like, you know, they're saying they're going to swing around. They still look like they're going to be rather close, though, in terms of points tally. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing it when we do get to round 5, where it all stacks up and everything. It's a little bit too confusing for me, I think, Sam. But I mean, another fantastic race under our belts. Of course, we've got a brand new tyre model coming tomorrow for iRacing itself, and that's going to bring a whole host of challenges for the drivers when we come back here in 2 weeks' time, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be totally different for the drivers. So yeah, we'll be a different car will be 7-8 seconds a lap slower than what we've got used to. Of course, also on the first lap as well, it's going to be super ungrippy. And I think it will change the strategy a lot, but it will also be a massive challenge, not just on the first lap of the race, but also later on when they change tyres, if they choose to change tyres. So that will be a radical change. And, well, we'll see if it's a positive one. We've got a driver waiting for an interview. Would you like to take the first one, Ashley?
Oh yeah, go on, and I'll bring Julian on into the server if I can find it. There it is. And we're room 2 today, so we're just confusing things up. But Julian, first of all, congratulations! Fantastic win for you in the GTP Amateurs. I mean, yeah, how was that one for you in general? But I mean, yeah, it's a win, so it's got to be good.
Hello guys. This race was a no man's land. Nobody in front, nobody behind. The only goal is to keep the car on the track and finish the race. Very happy to win in this category. So yeah, very happy tonight.
Well done. Yeah, thank you, Julian. I mean, you were very close to Seagrove closing lap. Did you feel maybe you could have got the move done if you were a touch closer potentially?
The final laps was very tricky. I saw I come near to Antonino, so and I have the pace for that. So I want to try my chance, and so I can't overtake him. So it's not a problem. Finish 5. It's great. It's great for me.
Yeah, it's a fantastic job you've done there, Julian. Is there anybody you would like to thank this evening?
Same. I had the first victory thanks to the team, and thanks to Martial Hubert too, to tell me to try to understand the setup and finish this race first is great. So thanks to Martial.
Love it. Thank you, Julian. Merci, because I understand it's not the easiest for you, and well, thank you for doing your very best. It's brilliant to have you here and have a good chat.
It's not easy, but I do my best.
You're doing a fantastic job. Merci, Julian. Merci.
Good night.
Yeah, good night. Thank you very much for being here. Lovely. Well, that was your GTP amateur race winner. Unfortunately, the only gentleman that we have here in the waiting area, Sam. But it's very clear it's not English is not his first language, but we always appreciate him trying. It's brilliant to have Julian in here. But I think we could be potentially wrapping up this evening.
Yes, I think that's pretty much it for us. I mean, of course, a week break next week, but for week 13, and I hope to everyone who's watching along that you have a good week 13, that you try out Miami, that it's good, and that Portland's good, and that the new GTPs are good, and that the lighting model, that changes that they're making are good. So yeah, I am excited to jump into a week 13 figure of 8 demolition derby as well. They're always good fun. I'll be there, so I hope other people are there.
I'll be there with you, don't worry.
Good.
I'm looking forward to it. Oh dear. Well, I think that then wraps up our race here then this evening. Like Sam said, we have got a break next week, but don't worry, we'll be here in a fortnight's time. Sam, double remind me, where are we heading to for the next round? Sebring. Oh, fantastic. Nice and bumpy as well. I'm sure that will not upset the new tyre model at all. Either way, I'm very much looking forward to that event. I'm sure you are too as well, Sam. But that is all from us here this evening. My name has been Ashley Denman and Sam Fitzpatrick alongside me with Luis Aria in production behind the scenes. Hope you have all enjoyed watching the RACEDATA AI ARL Racing Championship here on Apex Racing TV. If you do want to check out the AI race data, it is in the description below. And of course, if you have enjoyed the video, do just give us a like or a subscribe as well if you do enjoy it all. But yeah, that is everything this evening. Hope you have all enjoyed it, and we'll see you in a fortnight's time. Thank you very much. Bye bye.